Because it's grassroots based and working from the ground up, you can be guaranteed that's what we're going to do.
Any of the media's here, Ed's here, I know some folks in press box. Any questions, or are we good to go? Go ahead. Sure.
Brian, obviously one of the school of thought is that the coach doesn't like to criticize his former coach or his former team or any other coaches in the league. Does this mean that you'll be critiquing the Ravens as well?
Yeah, the question is, am I ready to criticize people and coaches and media?
Well, half the coaches in the league were your partners at one point.
Yeah, at some point. You know, I had this conversation with Ed Warren, who runs Fox Sports, and I really enjoyed the conversation because he made it clear, and I made it clear at the same time. I'm not going to criticize anybody just to criticize. That tends to be vogue sometimes. I am certainly going to comment on, I'm going to critique, and I'm going to give my opinion. And sometimes that will be well received, sometimes it won't. I'll make sure that everybody understands going forward, like the rest of y'all, it's an opinion, and that's all it really is. I would like to think that after 38 years in the business, 20 years in the NFL, 10 years as an NFL coach, I might have some observations worth listening to or worth looking at. But at the end of the day, it will be just an opinion. And that's exactly where we're at. And I'm very comfortable with it. And I realize there'll be some people that take exception to it at times, but that's part and parcel with what you're doing going forward, and I'm prepared for that.
I'll ask a Ravens-related question. What are your thoughts on the news that Cabo was on IR and
Yeah, I hate to see the labrum is a serious injury. If you remember, Anthony Wright a few years back had the surgery, and that it really wasn't but a year and a half before Anthony came back. I think Kyle doing it now has a much better opportunity to be ready to next season, wherever he might be, to be able to compete and go at it. But that's a serious injury, and I'm glad he's getting the surgery, because that's one you can kind of nurse along for a while and try to work through it, but it's not the best way to approach it. I'm glad he did.
do you think there's still a future for him in Baltimore?
Yes, is there a future for Kyle in Baltimore? I don't know. I don't make those decisions anymore. You know, it's been a tough road for Kyle. I was very appreciative and quite frankly surprised last year when we were able to extend Kyle's contract and that he accepted that and wanted to do that. The conventional thought would have been that maybe he'll look to do something else given what has happened in Baltimore. And I was very appreciative, and I think it speaks well of Baltimore that meant enough to him to stay. Whether that is going to be the future going forward, that's something he and the Ravens will have to decide.